Hey, and welcome to Monday's edition of our Mystic Road Trip. And as always, Mondays is all about magical stuff, wellness, spiritual guidance kind of thing. Thursday's edition is always about tarot, so make sure you check it out. This week you're going to get 2 for the price of 1 because last week I was lazy and things just happened and I couldn't keep up with everything. So you'll get 2 episodes this week, but you're only going to get 1 for Monday. And that's this one. And today we're going to kind of talk a little bit about how you can take the hero's journey, which is a very big tool used in writing, and equate it out to spiritual wellness and guidance and all of that. So it's kind of a unique one. It's a new kind of episode I'm working on. So I'd be really interested to hear what you guys think. And if you're wondering why I would care and who the heck I am, that's probably a good thing. I probably should introduce myself. I am Kim. I am the host. I am an astrologer, a tarot reader, a spiritual wellness coach, meditation guide, and all-around lover of anything that people call woo-woo. If you hear running, that is because my cat has decided she wants to go crazy. I'm talking about you. You can make it. She's making an appearance. Anyways, so it's just something I thought of one day, and I thought it would be really interesting to kind of give you guys a look at how I envision this, right? The hero's journey is something that's kind of prevalent in mythology and fiction, as I said, but the steps and the growth and the guidance is easily translated into wellness. Anyways, that's it. This is our Mystic Road Trip. This is a podcast where I am on a Mystic Road Trip, and I'm taking deep dives into a lot of different stuff because I'm very interested in learning, and because I'm trying to find the right path for me and find the things that really resonate with my soul and my spirit. And I thought I'd bring you guys along in hopes maybe I could help you guys do the same thing. That's it. As always, before we get started, I will do our week in the stars, and then we will move on to the topic. But even before that, we're going to do some shameless plugging and housekeeping. If you want to reach out to me, I would love for you guys to follow me on my social medias. I have Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. And so I would love for you to check me out over there. Any one or all 3, depending on how you feel. And if you don't want to do that, you can shoot me an email. I've got an email in the description box, kind of old school for those that aren't really into social media, because there are people out there not into social media. If you would like to support the podcast, I would just love for you guys to like, share, comment, follow, subscribe, do all those things. The more you engage with the videos or the audio, the more the algorithm says, hey, people like this, maybe more people would like this, and then we could build a community where we could learn and grow together and hopefully raise the vibration of the planet so we can get the world and the out of this garbage fire that is happening in this day and age. Yes, so that's kind of what that is. If you have some cash and you want to kick it my way, I'm never gonna say no. That would mean that you would have to check out my Patreon or my Buy Me a Coffee. Head over there. There's some offerings of some of my services, both tarot and astrology, and coming up soon there will be offerings for my life coaching as well as holistic dietitian and guided meditation. So those are all things you can purchase over there, so you don't feel like you're just spitting money out to me. I'm actually going to give you some value for your dollars. Yeah, and that's how you could support me. If you want more on this and so much more, make sure you check out my Medium publications. One of my other jobs is I am a writer, so of course I have to have a publication over there on Medium. If you are into women, feminism, and history, then you might want to check out my other podcast. Something else I'm super passionate about is history, and particular women in history. So I have another podcast called Where All the Ladies At, and it's basically me trying to figure out where the fuck the women are. So if that's something you're into, check it out too. And that is it for the shameless plugging and housekeeping. Now we can jump into the very first thing we're going to do, our week in the stars. All right, guys, so May is a wonderful month. After several months of having some hard hills to swallow and hard journeys to kind of work our way through. May is a little bit lighter. So we're going to, in our Week in the Stars, I take a couple astrological events during the week, and I kind of talk about the energies that come with them and how you might be able to navigate them. And not to shamelessly plug myself, but if you'd like a more in-depth astrological look into your May, you could always reach out to me and book me for a birth chart reading, or a tarot reading, or both. Why not? So yeah, let's do it. Let's start with today, Monday, May 5th. So here's the thing, guys. Mercury is gonna be in Aries, right? And it's gonna sextile Jupiter in Gemini. And also the moon later on is going to go into Virgo. So that's a lot of information. So let's check out Mercury in Aries sextile Jupiter and Gemini first. So this is harmonious. Sextiles are harmonious combinations. So it's really going to it's going to foster a pretty expansive thinking and maybe really good communication. So you're going to find yourself being able to think larger and speak what you're trying to think, right? Sometimes if you're like me, like I have the thoughts in my head, but sometimes it's hard to get out my mouth. And on this day, that's not going to be a problem for anybody. It's a good time for like studies or learning something new or sharing your ideas or even just kind of engaging in those really meaningful conversations. I think on this day, the best thing to do with this aspect is just kind of embrace curiosity, right? Embrace your open-mindedness. Maybe if you've been meaning to start looking into something, maybe it's a great day to set out for like new knowledge. Really find those good conversations and kind of try to remain receptive to diverse perspectives, because this day all of us are feeling this energy, right? So a lot of us are going to have that more expansive thought, right? And so I think it's a great day for like brainstorming. It's a great day for, getting into some deep conversations with friends. And just kind of diving really into it, right? On top of that, the moon's going to enter Virgo. Now, the moon is directly responsible for emotions and things like that. It's going into an earth sign, which means it's going to focus more on practicality and attention to detail and focus on health and well-being. Virgos are very much into that. It's really a period of just very, very harmonious and great energy if you're looking to organize or like fine-tune your routines and maybe just like really attending to those daily responsibilities, the things that we sometimes when we're looking at the bigger picture overlook. Virgos are very detail oriented, right? I would say channeling your energy into like productive tasks. So declutter your environment, establish some healthy habits, really approach work with like precision and care. I think this is a great day for that. So this knowledge all together, I'd say this energy is like, you're going to be able to speak it, you're going to be able to think it, and you're also going to be able to organize it a little bit better. And all that energy kind of plays very well to like starting to plan out things for maybe May or the next quarter, all that kind of stuff. So it's a great day. Now we're going to jump ahead to Thursday, May 8th. Here the moon in Libra is going to sextile Mars in Leo, and the moon is going to enter Leo. So it's coming out of, it's coming into Leo. That's what I was trying to say. Leo, what the heck? My words. I can't wait for tomorrow. I'm recording on Sunday, so tomorrow is May 5th, where the words will actually come out of my mouth the way they're supposed to come out. The moon is entering Libra. That's what I meant to say. So let's look at the moon in Libra sextiling Mars in Leo. Now, this is going to kind of look like putting together emotional balance and assertive energy. And sometimes that doesn't sound like it would work out well, but it's really going to be quite harmonious and definitely good for like confident actions. It's a good time for collaborative efforts and like trying to pursue your goals, but you'll have a lot more enthusiasm, right? What I would say on this day with this particular energy is kind of try to seek balance in your interactions, right? You want to approach challenges with kind of diplomacy as well as determination, right? And then you want to channel that creativity into things that require cooperation and leadership, right? Leos are very much cooperative and very much leadership focused. Libra in particular is more cooperative, and and Leo is very assertive. So on top of that, the moon, as I said, is entering Libra. So harmony, relationships, aesthetics. You want to really focus on creating peace in your surroundings and fostering connections, right? So I would say engage activities that kind of promote that, right? Beauty and tranquility. Maybe really have a good conversation so you can strengthen your bonds with loved ones, both romantic and platonic. And just kind of like look at artistic or social pursuits that kind of bring joy and balance your life. Anything that, if it, as Marie Kondo says, if it sparks joy, it's probably a good thing to do this day. All right, and lastly, we're going to do Sunday, May 11th. I do want to remind you guys, my weeks run Monday through Sunday because I post on Mondays. So, Sunday, May 11th, Mercury is going to enter Taurus, and the moon is entering Scorpio. So let's look at those two things. What an interesting combination. All right, so Mercury going into Taurus kind of is going to bring, Taurus is an earth sign, right? So very grounded, very methodical approaches when it comes to like communication and thoughts, right? You want to focus on practical matters and long-term plans. Taurus is a very long-term plan forward. So I think what I would say is slow down and think things through, right? Use this period to kind of solidify your goals, engage in thoughtful discussion, and make decisions that really kind of align with your values. I would also say Taurus is ruled by Venus, so anything having to do with like beauty or even like relationships, I think as long as you really slow down and think things through and you stay grounded and really use a methodical approach, I think everything this day is going to really move forward in a positive manner. Now you have Moon entering Scorpio, and Scorpio is all about deep emotions and transformation and introspection, right? It is ruled by Pluto. So maybe there may be a little moment in time once that moon fully enters Scorpio where you like are trying to confront hidden feelings and really trying to embrace that personal growth, and you're doing it through self-awareness, right? I would say mixed with all this, just embrace the vulnerability, right? Explore the inner world, I think, is a good thing. Try to use this time for healing and transformation. Let go of what doesn't suit you anymore, and really kind of welcome profound change. I think that mixed with the Taurus energy, I think we should probably just really look for more methodical and grounded ways to do these things so that you can play with all the energies and have it work well together. And that's kind of our week in the stars. I hope you enjoy. Please let me know in the comments or reach out to me on social media. Let me know how the energies worked for you this week. I'd love to hear some information, some stories from you guys. All right, so that is it for our week in the stars. So now we're going to jump into the hero's journey. So here's the thing. The hero's journey is traditionally, as I said in the beginning, all about story structure, right? But I think if we look at it in a deeper, more magical, more spiritual way, more mystical way, it kind of really is the story of personal growth and transformation, right? The hero in the stories do that, right? Now we're looking at how that can be overlaid onto our lives, right? So here's the thing. Every mythological, fairy tale, spiritual tradition, the core principle is the hero's journey. So if you've sorry, my nose itches, guys. If you've ever felt like you were kind of standing on the edge of something big and you're trying to embark on a new chapter, this would be very similar to if you watched my thing on or listened to my tarot section on the major arcana. The major arcana goes through the hero's journey. It does. It starts with the Fool, right? You're on the precipice of something big. You're ready to embark on a new chapter, and then it takes you through tough transformative experiences, and then in the end you wind up changed forever, right? It's all the hero's journey. It's very, very easy to correlate these things to the story. So let's talk. So let's talk about what it is first. So if you've never heard of the hero's journey, It's basically a storytelling framework, right? And it was kind of outlined by Joseph Campbell in his work, The Hero with a Thousand Faces. You know, he really identified this pattern that he found across cultures, right? It doesn't matter where you're from. Stories where the protagonist goes through stages of challenge, transformation, and finally a return. Think the Odyssey, right? It is that journey, right? Odysseus sets out after Troy to get home, and he's on the precipice of something big, but there's all these obstacles, and finally he makes it home, right? A side note, if you love the Odyssey, you should check out Epic the Musical. If you haven't heard it, it is spot on. Anyways, get back to focus, right? So, it's every story, Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter, they all follow this path. But the hero journey is not just for fiction. You can, as I said, look at it in a spiritual, more mindful way. If you look at the major arcana, it is the hero's journey. If you look at self-growth and transformation, it is the hero's journey. So what I want to do, it's definitely, you can look at it as a roadmap, right? I really want to kind of unpack this magical path, right? Let's look at self-discovery and growth and explore how we could use this structure to really move us towards healing and wisdom and transformation, right? What I thought we would do is we're going to just kind of break down the stages of the hero's journey and really look at it in a spiritual, magical, mystical essence, and kind of maybe we can combine that all in the end, right? So the first stage, by the way, guys, I just want to say this may be a little bit of a longer episode, just because I want to really dive deep into this, and it's something I'm super passionate about, and it is something that I use in my life coaching and when I'm thinking about the journeys and things like that. So the hero's journey starts with a call to adventure, right? It's the moment when the hero is kind of invited to leave the familiar and venture into the unknown. On a personal level, this could be the feeling that you get when you sense that something in your life needs to change, whether it's a new job, a new relationship, you want to move, all these things, right? It's the universe saying, hey, and giving like a little tap and maybe a little nudge, maybe a whisper. Maybe there's an impulse and it's urging you to go step into the unknown. For example, I'll give you an example from my life. I was 39 and I woke up one day and realized I wasn't happy, right? And there was just something urging me. And so I was like, okay, I need to do something. So I went to Barnes & Noble because I have a book problem. And hello, my name is Kim and I am a book addict. Yeah. So I went to Barnes & Noble because I was like, I need something. And as I walked in, this book caught my eye, right? And this is the beginning of my hero's journey. This is the beginning of how I transformed from where I was to where I am now. Am I done with my hero's journey? By no stretch of the imagination. And the hero's journey is a cyclical thing. So you're going to start it and end it and start a new one and end it. It's a lifetime thing. So I walked into Barnes & Noble and there's this book. And I just saw it. It's bright yellow. It's a bright yellow cover. And I was like, for some reason I was drawn to it. And I walked over and it's called You're a Badass. And I was like, oh, okay. That's kind of a cool title. Let me pick it up, right? And of course I went and I spent more money because I found some other cool books. But this book, I went home and the first thing I did was start opening it. And I literally read the whole book in one day, right? And then I went back through it again. And I read it about once a year because there's a lot of great questions. And it basically walks you through why things happen, like why you think about the way you do about money, all these things. And one question in it sparked it. And this was the beginning, as I said, the soul's nudge, right? And it was a question that I had been asked many times before. And it was just simply like, if you didn't have to worry about failure or money, what would you do? And it was in that moment that something changed, right? And this was my call to adventure. I needed to explore what that looked like. How can I make what I want to have happen, right? So magically, this is like the magic spark. It's the call. It's the magic that sparks everything, right? The universe is planting a seed inside you, and it's this invitation that could potentially help you grow and expand behind where you are, right? It's this phase where you begin to step into a journey of personal transformation, right? It is the Fool card. This is the Fool card, right? You're standing on that precipice ready, thinking all the possibilities are free, and you're just going to step off the cliff, right? Because everything is going to work the way, right? So spiritually, it's the same thing. It's awakening your true path, right? You may not know where the journey is going to lead, but there's something that's drawing you to it. It's something, it feels uncertain, but it's important to trust the timing and wisdom of this really universal invitation, right? And in this stage, the key to any movement forward is openness. You have to be willing to listen to the quiet of the call inside your soul. You have to be able to listen to that little voice in your head that says, hey, something's not right. There's something better out there. I think that this is a little something, right? I would say, like, here's the thing. When this call arose for me, I didn't ignore it this time. I think I had probably ignored it a lot the times before, right? Instead, I was like, you know what? I'm going to lean into it. Even if it gets uncomfortable, even if there's uncertainty, because I quit my job, right? And granted, I took a year to save money and everything, but I quit my job. I sold everything I owned, and I just went to Europe. I was like, done. I'm like, done. Let's go do this. And I started doing freelance work, and I started doing this. And all of these movements led me to amazing new insights into who I was and really changed me for the better, right? Because it is true that although it goes against our need for safety and stability, the best things come when you find yourself outside that box, when you have to really trust the process, right? And you have to let the universe guide you step by step, right? We have free will, but the universe is going to give us little insights and little breadcrumb paths. And we have to decide which breadcrumb path we want to follow. Do we want to stick with the breadcrumbs that people are laying for us and follow that breadcrumb trail? Or do we want to go where the universe is telling us to go and follow that breadcrumb trail? Because I'm going to be honest with you, the breadcrumb trail that the universe is laying down for you is more what you're is more your true calling, your true authentic self, the true path. The one that people lay for you, it may be not bad, but it's built for you. It's them telling you, take this breadcrumb, go this way. You're going to do this. You should do this. And that's never, most times, I won't say never, is never going to really lead to true fulfillment, right? And that's the first step, right? It's the shock. It's the inspiration, right? And then you're going to cross that threshold. The final step off of that cliff, right? You're going to enter the unknown. And that's the second stage of the hero's journey, right? Once you've accepted that call, once the heroes accepted that call, they have to cross the threshold, right? They have to leave behind that comfort zone and step into something that's wholly different, right? It's almost like a symbolic death of your old self, right? And it really is the most challenging part of the journey. I promise you. Once you've crossed that threshold, there's still challenges to be had, but it's that taking that first step is the hardest thing. I'll be honest with you. When I did what I did, I took a year. I saved up money. I made plans. I planned everything out. But it wasn't until I bought the ticket and literally put in my notice that I actually crossed that threshold. Because it wasn't until that time that I was entering the uncertainty and the unknown, right? When you think about this in magical symbolism, it's the moment when you kind of let go of fear and just embrace it, right? Crossing that threshold is where the magic is going to happen. It's where we leave behind what we know and embrace the possibility of transformation, right? Rite of passage almost. It's you're surrendering to the unknown, right? Allowing yourself to be changed. It can feel at first like you're really falling into a void, but it's also where new possibilities come in, right? If you step outside your comfort zone, you can open yourself up to the spiritual growth, right? This is where your old patterns and attachments are let go, and it's making room for new and more aligned ways of being. And the truth is, guys, what I will say about this part is sadly, what happens in this part is you have to release things. And sometimes there's things you don't even really realize at first you need to release. And sometimes that release is people, right? So unfortunately, as you go through this hero's journey, not everybody can go on that journey with you. And that sometimes is the hardest thing to come to terms with, right? You have to make room for new things, and you have to find things that are more aligned. And you may not realize that the things that you have, look, you may have a best friend who's like the best thing in the world, right? But then as you grow and develop, they don't grow and develop in the same way that you do. And sometimes that makes you drift apart, and it doesn't make that relationship any less impactful for you or any less important in your life. What it does make it is that you're no longer aligned and you guys have different paths. It doesn't mean you have to like cut each other out of your lives. It doesn't mean you will be gone forever. It just means at this time and point you need to go in a different way. I think in this pace, it's really easy to feel resistance, right? Because humans want stability. We like the known, right? Because you have to face the unknown, and you have to step away from safety. It can feel very, there can be a lot of resistance to the change. You can feel like, maybe not, right? But I think that the thing is to take that key and really embrace that inner strength that you have and understand the power of transformation. Leaning into discomfort, knowing that the only way to move forward and grow is to push through that, right? Courage really isn't the absence of fear. It's the willingness to move through it. And guys, like I said, until I bought that ticket and I gave my notice, there was still a chance I could pull back, right? And even after I bought that ticket and I gave my 2 weeks I gave my notice, right? I didn't even give them a 2-week notice. I gave them a whole year. There were still times where I could pull back. I could. So I think like this port was until I stepped on that plane and I was in the air, that was me breaking the threshold. That was really me breaking the threshold. So after that, you have the trials, right? So in the stories, you have the trials. This is the shadow versus the self, okay? So in the stories, the heroes faces trials and challenges. Like I'd mentioned the Odyssey before, right? The challenges and trials, right? There was the islands, there was Calypso, there was Circe, there was Scylla, and all these things, right? There's all these obstacles that the gods put in Odysseus's way, right? These were the trials and challenges. These don't always have to be physical, right? They can be spiritual, they can be psychological. And what happens is during these trials and challenges is the universe is basically having us come face to face with our fears, our insecurities, unresolved issues, the shadow, right? Our shadows. They're parts of us, and it's vital parts of us, but we tend to bury and ignore them so much. The trials aspect of this is really kind of an alchemical process, right? All these trials and challenges are going to transform us, right? And we don't fully understand until we look back how much we've changed, right? The hero battles a dragon, overcomes a dark forest, overcomes the lotus eaters, goes up against whatever it is, right? And these mythical representations oftentimes mirror internal struggles, right? And they can be very metaphorical links to the things that we're going to go through when we're trying to have personal growth, right? The magic really lies in that transformation, when we kind of emerge stronger and wiser and more aligned with ourselves. I think the trials are also opportunities for healing and integration, right? If we kind of face them with an open heart and we can clear away the things that don't serve us anymore. The shadow work we do in this phase is super key to reclaiming that authenticity and the power, right? The challenges are necessary, and they are part of the process, and they teach us how to embrace our darkness, because we are both dark and light, right? And our shadows aren't something to be afraid of. There's something that just really needs to be understood and integrated, right? It's integrating your fears as well and really beginning to become whole again, right? I think in this phase, it's really easy to get discouraged and overwhelmed. You know, when I did that, and I flew from the U.S. and I bought a one-way ticket from Las Vegas to Athens, and I spent I would, you know, I think that whole year for me was really trials and challenges. A lot of things happened on that trip. And I could have got discouraged and I could have got overwhelmed, and I did get discouraged and overwhelmed sometimes, right? But I then thought, you know, this stuff is all necessary for my growth, right? When I was faced with adversity, I you know, had to remember that the adversity was just there was going to be a lesson learned from it, right? It gave me an opportunity to face my shadows, to embrace that transformation, you know. And I really, for me, I really tried to approach them with like openness and curiosity. And every trial brought something new and brought me one step closer to my authentic self. You know, I had to trust the process. I had to allow that's like almost like that inner lead be turned into gold, right? Going back to the alchemy analogy. It was something that was super, super important in the moment, right? Now, after that stage, right, after the trials and tribulations, you have atonement and apotheosis. I can never say that word properly. And this is where you start to feel enlightenment, right? It's spiritual illumination. You start to understand the divine nature or purpose. This is the moment where yourself and the divine kind of unify, right? It's almost, I guess the best term would be like a spiritual awakening in some aspects, right? This is where it's a very deep shift, right? It's the moment where confusion falls away and suddenly a truth is kind of revealed, right? It's the kind of moment where you understand that you are part of something larger than yourself, and that the struggles that have brought you to this point have also brought with it profound transformation, right? It's realization. It's coming to terms with, you know, who you truly are and what your purpose is in the grand scheme of things, right? Atonement is all about merging your conscious self with the unconscious, right? You're integrating your light and your dark, right? You're becoming whole. And this is the marks. This is where the point where this is true wisdom, right? You're integrating all your experiences, the good, the bad, and the ugly, into a more unified and understanding self, right? This is where you start to experience deep connection to your higher self and divine energy that flows through you, right? It's really the moment where you get to reflect on your journey and really honor it, right? Really allow yourself to bask in the clarity and the peace that comes with this illumination. It's really important to take that wisdom and put it in together and use it in your life, right? Let go. It's where you let go of limiting beliefs. It's where you embrace your full potential. You trust that you are on the right path, and that every lesson that has brought you here has brought you one step closer to understanding your true nature. You know, I think this is, I'm super passionate and really, after I had my transformation, and by no means am I done. Like, once again, cyclical, right? You're going to go through different stages, but that major transformation, that major journey really transformed things, right? And it really brought me closer to who I was. Now, in the fifth stage, which is the last stage, right? Let me get my notes. It's the return. It's the elixir. It's when you take what you've learned and you share the wisdom, right? This is the final stage. You return to the ordinary world with the elixir, you know, a new perspective, a gift, a piece of wisdom, something. and you want to transform the world around you, right? The return is the completion of the process. You bring back the wisdom you have gained, and you want to use it to heal others, right? Even if you're not in that aspect, you still want to share, right? I know I did. When I got back from my trip, all I wanted to do was sit with the people that I loved, and like just tell them and show them how much I had changed. And I'll be honest with you, everybody that was in my life could see the changes. A lot of things had changed, not only like personally and physically, but emotionally and mentally, and they could see it. And once again, I'll say this is where sometimes people break away, right? Because it's too much. They couldn't handle the changes, and that's okay. That's okay, right? It's really about everything has been completed, right? You have this. It's healing and transformation and all that. It's integration. You're no longer a separate entity, right? You're part of a whole. You've gained a higher perspective. Allows and that is going to allow you to help others and make the world a better place. The return really talks about completion of your soul's journey and the integration of self into the world, right? This is where the hero becomes a teacher, a guide, a healer, and shares their gifts with the collective, right? When you return from this point, you have to remember that it's not just about your own personal transformation, right? It's about how you use the wisdom that you gained during this journey, right? Share your lessons, your insights, your growth in the world. As you kind of integrate back into your life, you have to use that new knowledge to really heal and inspire and uplift those around you. Your journey has value beyond the transformation that happens in you. It has the power to impact the world in a very, very positive way. But I will say, and this is once again just because I like to be very truthful and very open. When you do share your knowledge and when you do share your new transformation and your new everything, once again, I will repeat, it may be that things and people and places no longer match with your vibe, and that may mean that you have to start a new journey, right? And that's what happened to me. I went home, and I didn't really fit in anymore. Like, I was not the people pleaser I was. There had been some revelations in my life that had changed my outlook on love and relationships. There was a new confidence. I was very different. It was just very different. And what I realized was, as I was home, which at that point I considered Las Vegas, it didn't match with me anymore. The vibes there, the people there, I still loved, but I was such a different person that I didn't really feel, in sync with the people around me. I still loved them and I still wanted to be there for them, but there was just something that wasn't right. And so I said, you know what? I think it's time for another journey. And I set out on another journey, and that was, once COVID and everything, I bought tickets and I went to Turkey and I stayed there for 3 months, and then I moved to the country of Georgia, and I've lived here in Georgia for now 3 years. I haven't been home. I honestly, I'll go home to visit people, but it doesn't feel like it's the right place for me. I found people and a love and everything here that just feels like it vibes better. And I don't know, maybe it won't always. Maybe I'll have to start another hero's journey. And this is the thing, guys. The hero's journey, when looked at through self-growth and self-improvement and wellness and all that, is really, once again, a cyclical story. It's a circle, right? So you're going to start at the beginning, you're going to end, right? You're going to start with the full card, you're going to go to the world card, and then guess what? Something's going to happen, and you're going to have to start back at the full card, and you're going to have to work your way around the world, right? It's always going to happen. This journey called life is never done. And if you get to a place where you think you're done, I really struggle. I really would have words to say that I don't think you're done. I don't think there's going to be something new that changes you, right? Whether it's you turn 40, whether it's you find a new love, whether it's you need a new job, whether it's, whatever it is, there's always going to be a new journey ahead. And I think that's what makes life pretty cool. Anyways, this is a different take on this podcast. So I hope you enjoyed. I hope you got good information. And if you liked what you heard, please, by all means, share it and all that kind of stuff. I think I love my podcast, but I think I'm really proud of this episode. As always, guys, if you want to reach out to me, I have social media. You can definitely reach out there. If you want to support the podcast, you know what to do, like, comment, share, follow, do all that kind of good stuff. If you want more information, check out my maiden publication. And as always, if you're into women, history, and all that kind of good stuff, check out my other podcast called Where All the Ladies At. And I will leave you with this, man. Stay safe, stay curious, stay blessed.